it's
let's
just,
hear it.
I am just humbled by God. That's all I can say. It's done. I want you to remember that we did not earn this. This is God's mercy on our country.
I got it. So as you can see, Turning Point USA is going to be better than ever. Erica Kirk was just named CEO yesterday in a unanimous decision and by the board here in Arizona. As actually I said last week, I thought together they lived everything together, and she's going to carry this on beautifully. We're going to hear more from Turning Point USA later at the end of the show, and Tyler Boyer, who's also here in Arizona, was on yesterday with an announcement. So we're going to bring that to you later. Right now, I want to bring on our guest. He's been so patient today. We had a few audio issues earlier, so he sat through that and he's been waiting. But Craig Salmon Sawyer is a veteran Navy SEAL. He's a U.S. Marine with deep experience at the very highest levels of military special operations, plus years as a federal criminal investigator, bringing fearless passion and a lifelong commitment to protecting children. Craig is uniquely suited for the battle he fights every day. As the founder of Veterans for Child Rescue, known as V4CR, Craig leads a national 501c3 nonprofit formed in 2017. His elite team includes military professionals, current and former law enforcement, intelligence veterans, and survivors, all dedicated to ending child trafficking in the USA. Their mission: raise awareness and expose the epidemic of child trafficking, the fastest growing criminal enterprise on earth, right here in America as well. Veterans for Child Rescue works to help arrest and convict child predators and to rescue and rehabilitate victims. Few are more qualified or more committed to this cause than Craig Salmon Sawyer, and you're about to hear why. So with that and his patience, greatly appreciated today, please welcome to American Perspective, Craig Sawyer. And let's see if I can hear him.
Hey, thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure and a privilege.
Yes, I can hear you. Thank God. My gosh, sometimes we do actually have to thank him out loud because there's my pen. So we've known each other for just a little over a year. I met you last summer I think it was our Texas rally for Take Our Border Back. And you came in, you flew in to speak for us, which was amazing. And met some of your team, which was great. And so, I know what you do because Arizona, of course, is a big problem with trafficking, and you're in the state as well. And so we who live here and on the border states the last few years of the last administration really saw this problem highlighted in the worst possible way with the millions they let pour in, and so many of those were unaccompanied minors. Now, what you do, that's one side of it coming in, but what people don't understand, and what we're going to talk about today, is the children who are trafficked in America from America seem to get a little forgotten, I think, because the border was such an issue, and you hear about the unaccompanied, and we know that there's sex trafficking and child labor trafficking happening on that end. People forget that it happens in our own countries, in the neighbor's house, in the basement, or in a warehouse, or I'm sure there's all kinds of locations, really all of them probably. And so I want people to understand that this is not an inbound problem. This is an in-house problem. And so really I want you to talk about maybe first what brought you to this from your military background, to go into specifically trafficking here, and also kind of where, since 2017, where the organization is at, so we can get a kind of an overall sense of how that's going. And then we'll just kind of talk from there, the movie and some other things then I want to bring up. So go ahead, just go ahead, Craig, with whatever you want to share.
Yeah, sure. Well, after a background in military special operations and the intelligence community and federal law enforcement, we were actually burning some cigars together, several of us guys from different agencies in Spring, Texas, just north of Houston, in the area that I'd grown up. And one of them was telling me about child trafficking and what all he had learned about it around the Houston area, Harris County, North Harris County especially. And he said, Craig, this area has grown to be the hottest epicenter of child trafficking in the country. And I just, I'd been to 60 countries around the world. I'd been read in on a lot of secret programs. And I realized, due to his description of it, that child trafficking is a covert operation run domestically in the United States at industrial scale. And it was very upsetting for me, upsetting news, because I felt like, to be honest, I felt a little duped. Like I'd been sent to all those other countries to defend my people against the boogeyman who may one day come here when child predators of every kind were doing the worst, the most unspeakable and heinous acts and atrocities to children right here at industrial scale, right behind my back. So that's when I realized I'm done going anywhere else to fight what might be when we have this full-on predation of our most precious and our most innocent, the least deserving of harm right here in the United States. And so
Right.
one of the agents warned me, he says, yeah, I appreciate your enthusiasm. Because I told him, I said, this has to be my fight. I can't turn away from this. I can't be okay. I'm not wired to coexist, whatever that is. That's evil. And I'm not okay with it. And I'm going to make war on those who are doing that to children. He said, yeah, I appreciate that. But what you're going to find, unless you realize this is a spiritually motivated crime and a spiritually protected crime, in other words, people that are deep into the satanic occult and all of that weird stuff, he goes, you're going to find that you're not ever going to quite find what you're looking for. Because the spiritual aspect, the spiritual side of it's real, and that's what a lot of these most powerful people are into, these secrets about it. The reason the most people are compelled to do the unspeakable to children is ultimately spiritual. So the Bible's real, all of it, and what people are motivated by are the fallen to do acts of evil. And so we're dealing with it on the practical side. What can we prove in a court of law? What factual evidence do we have? Because, coming from a federal criminal investigator background, that's what we do, and that's how we get our convictions in courts of law. But in a lot of places, cult groups, and when they see these horrendous murders, they don't know how to process the motive and all of the cultural aspects behind it. They just, okay, here was the act that happened, and here's how we're going to prosecute it, like the Jeffrey Dahmer case. So Russ Dizdar became, through necessity, practical experience, an expert on the occult and satanic ritual abuse and all that kind of thing, as in his role as a minister. So he was helping a lot of these people, and he had to learn about all the dysfunction and the weird stuff that people are into to help them. And so law enforcement started leaning on him because he became a law enforcement chaplain, but he was an expert on why people do weird and bad stuff. And so they brought him in on the Jeffrey Dahmer case, and they're like, this guy's got a, stack of bones in his living room. That's weird. What's up with that? And he's like, oh my gosh, this guy's a certain type of Satanist, and here's what you can expect. He's probably a split multiple, meaning he's been probably very traumatized, systematically tortured, and his little mind is probably split as a child, and he was programmed, and there's a whole set of MK Ultra, programming that our military still does to this day to people. And there's a lot that we can expect to find, but you have to know how to deal with someone like this and unlock his mind and what he knows. And you're dealing with a split multiple personality there. And here's what else you can look for in his life, his contacts. And so he was helping law enforcement unpack that and understand that case. But it's not told to the public that way because it's awkward for law enforcement to deal with that. But that's a very real and large aspect of behind these secret societies that JFK warned us about before they assassinated him. That is the motivator. So that's what we've learned, and we're just helping people heal, helping people get out of harm's way, and we run joint sting operations, Noel, with federal, state, and local law enforcement, catching the predators with a
I
100%
see you do that.
conviction rate, arresting them and putting them in prison to rape no more. So
So
that's
do the law enforcement organizations around the country then contact Veterans for Child Rescue and bring you into the investigations for you to then go after the particular perpetrator they're investigating in the moment? Or, I mean,
in some cases, yes, but what
or
we're
is this
finding
separate?
is depending on the tolerance of your show for the level of truth, we have a certain globalist billionaire who has been discussed in open congressional session that he funds the campaigns of judges and DAs all across our country,
And who was
especially
that? Who was that?
George Soros.
Yes, yes, yes. That's
It's known, it's been discussed, it's not a secret, and nobody contests the fact that that's true, but it's not being corrected. So he funds their campaigns to get challenged in all of the major cities. So what we do is we find DAs in areas where they, you've got a man or woman of strong moral and integrity and character who will do their job as their citizens elected and put that and pay them to do. And they will prosecute legitimate cases against child predators. So we find them and then we coordinate the operations with them. Usually there's a lot of operations that we have that are investigations that are going on around the calendar. But when we can, we run sting operations and the predators come to us and we
okay.
arrest them there. So
And the 100% effective rate is really something to talk about, because I know that these people slip through the cracks very easily. I mean, everything's under the radar, everything's dark web stuff, or can be. They use aliases. There's different accounts. I mean,
yeah,
it's hard to track. I mean, people are tracked down, and there's hackers everywhere. But these guys, these pedophiles, these, am I allowed to say that, Robert? I don't know what the words I'm allowed to say, which is so weird, right, Craig? Like
monsters.
2025,
Yeah, they're
we're
monsters.
like censored
Yeah,
from using real
I
words,
know. It's bad.
which is stupid. I could use that word though. That's an okay word I can use. Um, am I allowed to use the P word, Robert? It's questionable. The only reason I asked my producer is because I used another word 2 weeks ago and they
You mean
completely
like
took
the
the
shrimp,
episode.
like the prawn shrimp?
Yeah, is that what
Some people call it prawn. Is that the word you're talking
is
about?
that what they say, prawn? I didn't know. I didn't know any other lingo. I just always use the real
Just
word
to
in
get
real
past
life.
the
But
ridiculous algorithms to try to
in
inform
media,
people.
real life doesn't translate to media because they're still censoring heavily. The people say you get censored. I'm like, they took an episode off 2 weeks ago for talking about vitamin D with the VERMECTIN supplement that you can
Yeah,
get. Can I spell
yeah,
it? I don't know. And they just took it right off. It's ridiculous. So I want to be careful because I don't like things to get taken down because then it just
yeah,
does nobody any
yeah.
good. That's why I ask. We're all pro truth here for sure, and a full disclosure, of course. So when you are with these law enforcement agencies across the nation, how are you sustaining the organization? Because obviously everything is so expensive. Travel's expensive. Expenses there are expensive. I mean, you have a team, and you're not on island. So how is it, you know, that you are able to sustain? Are law enforcement agencies contributing to bringing you out, or is this something
No,
that
they
Veterans
don't.
Child
They
Rescue
don't.
has to do on their own?
Yeah, sadly, they don't contribute. They will help us in the ways that they can, but financially,
They have no budget for this,
no,
or
no, they don't. So, or at least they won't set aside money for
right,
budgeting for that.
right.
So our donors, the people that trust us, send 5, 10, 20, $100 in. Some of them do it regularly, and it's our donors who fund all of this. So
So let's
all
talk
of the,
about that. So
yeah,
Veterans for Child Rescue, the number 4CR.org. At the lower thirds, you guys can see on the screen how to reach Craig, and I've got his links also in descriptions. But we'll bring that up in a second, Robert. That's okay. And but I do want to make just a plea out there, just in the middle of this conversation, that these organizations who are saving children, the most vulnerable, are the most important organizations around out there. And you may not have heard of Craig's organization, and there are several of them. I'm sure I don't know of them all. We have a few here in Arizona that work in this area. You to think about where you're putting your money every day. If you're spending your $13 a month on Netflix and Google and your drives and your coffees and your whatever, Target, whatever you're getting at Target today, maybe you take $25 a month, every other week, every other paycheck, whatever, and you think, gosh, you know what? I'll just give up 2 coffees a week at Starbucks because they're $7 a pop now, and you donate to something along this lines because you're actually helping save other people. Right? You're saving your calories and you're saving the toxic chemicals you're putting in your body too from some of those fast food places. But in addition to that, you're actually saving kids and you're helping a huge organization just really propel it. And tell your friends, like, these shows I do, which I do for fun, I say, because I'm not earning a living at it, but it's for resources. The main point is resources that we want to provide you, things you haven't heard about, people you don't know about, people like Craig who are under the radar for obvious reasons, who are out there a little bit, but don't always get the press or the information needed for you guys to contribute to something like this. So anyway, that's just what I have to say about that. So we want to make a plea for help for his organization so he can continue. And so with that said, I want to talk about parents who might be listening. We work with organizations here, Pearl at the Mailbox. We had Sherry Lopez on, the founder, and Seek Smith has an organization here. They deal in this area too. In the other side of it, though, more of a victim side, more of a rehabilitation, help with resources side, not the extraction part.
Yeah, I consider her a dear friend.
Seek Smith?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, she's amazing. She's here in Arizona too. We have amazing people in Arizona. Actually, we're very fortunate. Our state is strong in that respect. And so, what can parents who are out there who don't understand what's going on, that issue is a lot of parents just don't want to acknowledge that these things can happen to their American child. Going to school in the morning, going to a concert down in Phoenix or Tempe. On the weekends where my kids hang out. So what do they need to know and what do they need to look for? And what are some of the misconceptions or internet hoaxes that you can get rid of so parents can know some of the truth of where they need to stand in their role?
Yeah, well, we've put a list of problem apps and heads up training for parents on our website, V4CR.org. And I encourage everybody to go there and empower yourself so you're aware of what's going on. A lot of these apps that you look at on your child's phone, they look like they do one thing, but they're actually something else. So that's why the children's a lot of times are subjected to harmful content and predators because they're on an app that their parents don't realize what the app does.
And what are some of those apps? Just can you name a couple?
They're always changing because
Oh,
as they're identified and caught, there's legal leverage put against them, and they'll change the nature of the app. So they're always, it's like very squishy, nailing
right.
jello to a wall. So
Oh my
you have
gosh.
to just kind of get into
Hey,
your child's phone, click on the apps, and see what they actually do. Because what the predators like to do is pretend to be portray themselves as another child, male or female,
right.
to lure your child into sexting and then showing something or revealing pictures or videos. And then once the predator has that picture or video, it's used to leverage the child. Hey, you're going to show me more, or I'm going to show this to your parents or your school, or I'm going to publish it online for everybody to see. And some children have taken their own lives over this because they can't see around that level of betrayal, and they think it's the end of the world, and the little minds can't even process that level of hostility. And so just realize that that's the name of the game. And also, some of those apps can surreptitiously film your child or take still images when your child's not aware that it's even filming them, and it can geotraffic or geolocate the child. So if your child's
Oh,
walking to or from the bus or the mailbox or the park, the predator's tracking your child and go bop them on the head, throw them back in the back of a creepy rape van, and you never see or hear from your child again. And maybe they get sold all over the world until the
not
worst is done.
around.
So yeah,
Yeah, that's a
so all
thing.
of that is
I
happening.
and I try to tell, so my sons are 20 and 23 here in Arizona, and they do attend a lot of events, a lot of big concerts and whatnot, Tempe, Phoenix, so they have them all the time. And I tell them, which I think they're starting to believe me. Usually they think I'm a little over the top with my danger warnings, but I try to explain to them that the people I've met, like you and other organizational leaders in these law enforcement arenas, like I hear things firsthand. I'm not guessing at the danger in our state and around the country. And I tell them, in fact, they're in Ohio this weekend. They just flew out yesterday for this huge, I don't know, 40,000, 60, I don't know, thousands of people in this concert. And I told them, one of my son's girlfriend went, and I think there's one other girl, there's a group of 5 or 6 of them, and they're camping out together. They're together. But I told them, do not let Kenzie go to the bathroom alone. Even though they have private facilities, they're like in a VIP area. They have their own facilities, the way they bought their tickets. But still, I said, these arenas, all the large arenas, every large event, sporting events, especially the Super Bowl, the World Series, people don't understand the predators go to these locations, these events on purpose, and that is their playing field and their playground. And the bathrooms we had it here in our neighborhood mall. There was warnings, don't let the girls go to the mall bathroom and leave them there and then say, I'll meet you out somewhere later. And I told the boys, I said, don't let the girls walk there, and even together, don't let them go together. I know it's partners, like that's always the thing, is go with somebody, but you guys need to be out there and not somewhere far away. Like, have a spot where they can see you and they can see you when they come out, because there's 10,000 people in that area. It's easy to lose anyone. And so they promised me that they would. I said, I better not hear she's walking around like ever by herself. Like, I will lose my mind if I hear that happens. Likely is not going to happen, but you just don't know where the predators are. That's the problem. And it seems to me, Craig, tell me if I'm wrong, is it just because the internet and all the information highway now? But it seems to me that there's so many of them, like they've exploded in numbers. Is that?
I think the access to online porn is perverting and distorting a lot of minds out there. I think it is accelerating the problem. It's nothing new. There have been wicked people who harm children for all the wrong reasons
Right.
throughout human history, but I do believe it is kind of exploding right now. And I believe I believe this is my personal belief. This is the predestined time for us all to see what we've allowed on our
Right.
watch in our
Right.
nation, an industrial scale atrocity of those least deserving of any harm. And coincidentally, that's why the children are the most high value target of the people who are sick and wicked, because that's the spiritual value doing that for their wealth and power. People want to be in these they want to be in these secret societies for wealth and power. It's lust and greed is all it is.
So
Weak
you talk
charactered
about
people will
that.
do anything for what they want, the title they want, or the money, or the job, or to be in the group of power. And it always, like Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein, were collecting on people. That was an intelligence gathering operation. They offer people hookers and blow and children and everything else, and people help themselves on these islands and mansions and resorts that they think there's no rules, but everything's videoed and recorded,
Right.
and then they're leveraged. They're blackmailed after that. So that's not a new game, and it's going all over the place. The Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell crew was just one crew of many around the world. So that's why a lot of our politicians in DC don't do what they say, because somebody's holding a video of them doing an unspeakable atrocity to who knows who, and our politicians answer to whoever holds that video of them, rather than you
Right.
and me, the American taxpayer and citizen.
Right.
So
And do
we've
we
got to
not have?
purge our system of that. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
do we not have enough good people in our government to extract and eradicate this from within? I mean, I understand there's going to be bad eggs in every basket. So, of the, let's say the 100 Congress people, so let's say 35 have some blackmail over their head, okay, for let's just say this reason. Okay, that's probably not, that's a high number, but let's just pretend it's 35. What about the others? I mean, are there not the majority that say this can't continue? I mean, you work at that level. Is it everybody's so afraid no matter what because of their affiliation with the people who might be indicted or implicated, that the good people, the innocent people, so to speak, just don't say anything? Is that where the problem is? Because I know tons of people in Congress here in Arizona and other congressmen across the nation and senators personally, and they're good people. Would not be involved in these sorts of things, but they haven't said anything either. And we
Yeah.
know Epstein stuff kind of went by the wayside, and Trump wanted to, put a lid on it basically a few weeks ago and kind of look at other issues that he was dealing with. So, all right, there's a lot of issues, but I mean, where do we stand on that? Do we have a whole government corrupt system that even the best people are silent because of their affiliation danger to the other people?
I think there are so few genuinely quality souls in our federal system anymore that there's so few of them that they can't really get anything done because they're surrounded by 80-90% of people who are okay with evil. They're okay with the atrocities happening because they either benefit from it or they're directly involved in it, or they just
Wow.
have moral cowardice and not willing to lift a finger to expose it because they don't want to be inconvenienced whatsoever. Because they don't want to be inconvenienced whatsoever. Public, we the citizens are responsible. We are accountable. That we're supposed to run our country through our elected officials. When they don't carry out our will, it's our duty to throw the bums out and replace them with some who will.
That's right.
And we fail to do that on the whole. And that's why we have so many weak charactered people, men and women, in our system who are not addressing this. Look, you got 325,000 missing children under just the
Right.
Biden administration, just in that
In a
4
couple of
years
years.
that they are
Yeah.
admitting to.
Right.
How many more? Like I'll tell you right now, on the border, the gotaways far exceed the number of ones that they catch. So how many hundreds of thousands or millions are being
Or not caught.
moved around that nobody's speaking about? So we have an industrial scale atrocity and we don't have the will to fix it. I celebrate the few rescues and arrests that happen, but in comparison to the industrial scale harm to children, our federal government's doing very, very little. So we need an agency to counter child trafficking a lot more than we need little agencies to save the mating habits of a tsetse fly over here or
Right.
there. We've got hundreds and hundreds of federal agencies that don't really do anything good for the American taxpayer. They're full of pork and kickbacks and all that kind of stuff. We should at least, if we're not going to stand up an agency to really eradicate child trafficking, we at least need a task force, a full-time large task force of different agencies combined that are eradicating child traffickers and child trafficking rings around the clock. Hundreds of thousands that they will admit, so millions in harm's way, and yet we're making a few rescues here and there.
And are you able to work with anyone in Arizona? I mean, we have Andy Biggs, who's running for governor now. And, Abe Hamadeh came in as congressman and up here in CD8. I mean, I think we have some solid people. Is that just not even an option for Pathway to get
We,
involved on that
in
respect?
a lot of other states, yes. In Arizona, so far, no.
Okay.
Now,
And that might be current government.
yeah, so there is a new relationship that looks like it's paving the way for us to do great things in
Okay,
Arizona.
well, that's good
So,
to hear. I mean, I'd like to hear a
yeah,
silver lining. I mean, we
yeah,
can't fix this problem. This is a global problem, obviously. Nationally, it's a horrific problem here. I mean, I just heard yesterday they arrested a couple people. It was for inbound sex trafficking from out of the country, which also is important that they get those people. But there are so many Americans dealing in this arena of dealing children, basically, that now these layers of the internet and all the dark web, and they've really, they can protect themselves better than we can protect the children. It's very lopsided now, and it's going to be hard to reel back in. But it's nice to know that if there's pathways, even in Arizona, in our state, I would love to hear that coming up. And in the future, we'll see how our government hopefully will shift,
we'd love to be part of that solution. And
yes,
if I can just honor a couple people real quick.
Please do.
Well, so with Charlie Kirk, I just want to honor him real quick and the impact that he's had. The pastor that I have came back from a meeting with Charlie, very pumped up and excited a couple years ago in a very good way.
Yeah,
That
it's very hard.
we should miss and try to step in and fill their shoes. And third, I want to honor our daughter Aspen, which I haven't mentioned yet, but when we put in the paperwork to found Veterans for Child Rescue, she was abducted here
And
in
I was going to
Tucson.
bring that up,
Yeah,
Craig. I didn't know if you wanted to bring that up. I
Yeah,
was going
let's
to
do it
ask you
because
if you
people,
did.
she's
Yeah,
okay with it and people need to know.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
So
Please.
she was abducted and violently sexually assaulted, and her predator had been continually released by a judge whose name I won't mention, but his initials are Javier Chan Lopez. And he
Very
let
good.
this predator talk to him in the court of law like he was calling him by his first name and calling him bro.
Wow.
And so it was the predator was allowed to berate our daughter and narrate a bunch of things that were demonstrated utterly false by the forensic evidence and all of it. And so it was a slam dunk case. But what that predator was allowed to do in the courtroom after what he did to her on the streets was a gross miscarriage, really, of justice, and we really resented that. But judges are in a good, an important place to do a lot of good or a lot of harm,
Right.
if they're not holding a straight line, and it's not merciful to be soft on a serial
Crime.
predator, right? If you got a
Crime at
serial
all.
predator and he's harming everybody, you don't keep kicking him back out on the street to continue. And that's what happened. And that's why our daughter was savagely traumatized. But she has stepped up after that. What are you going to do when life bites you? Well, in our daughter's case, she became our chief predator hunter. She is the most fierce one. And with our intel and investigations team, she brings the predators in and puts them in prison like nobody else that have ever come through our org. So God is blessing her and raising her up to a place of a hunter. She's a huntress now, hunting the predators. And if you'll watch in our documentary, Contraland, it's very empowering. And you can watch it at contralandmovie.com. You'll see her. I don't know if they caught this on camera for that, but what she would do when the predators were getting arrested and handcuffed, she would stand in front of them, fold her little arms, and just look at them. And after she did that to the second one, I said, "What's that stare down thing about, Sweet Pea?" I call her Sweet Pea, and she says, "Well, she said that's healing for me, and I'm taking my power back." And I look at the sheriff and that op. I'm like, so
That's
she
amazing.
just think it's good because it's inspiring other people to take their power back and find their voice. Because what I've learned in the 8 years since I founded Vets for Child Rescue is that a lot of people are victims and they've never said anything, especially the boys, especially the men,
Right.
because they don't know that happens to other men, and they don't know that it's common. And they think they're the only one. They think they're weird. They think they're responsible for it. Although, how can a child be responsible for a full-grown, manipulative predator raping him, right? So how can that little boy be responsible? He can't. And it's a mind melt. It's just such an ugly distortion and trauma and attack on that little soul. It breaks my heart. And so any men or women listening to the sound of my voice, I just want you to be encouraged, and I pray for your healing and blessing. You didn't deserve it. It's not supposed to happen, but weak and evil men abuse whatever they can. And
And Robert, can you bring up his web? Thank you. I want to put Contraland up there next to you. You mentioned the movie. You did this movie. We understand, we acknowledge that these are not easy subjects. They're very traumatizing for if your family members have been suffering through any of these sorts of ordeals, or people. I mean, it's traumatic in itself. And so a lot of people have a hard time talking about it or listening to information about it, like your movie. But I highly recommend you guys go on to vetsforchildrescue.org, and the links are here on screen. They're in the descriptions. Also, donations are so important. We talked about that a little earlier, because these organizations do things out of their heart and the goodness. I mean, Craig, you heard, had a personal experience with his daughter who was brutally assaulted and went through this trauma herself. And now she's come out on the other side. I'm so glad to hear. I was going to ask you her recovery and how that is. I'm so glad to know that that's where she stands today. And she's going to smack these guys down, basically, as often as possible. And that honestly brought a tear to my eye, just because it's so touching that. And she's a young girl, I know, right? She's not. Is she in her
26 now.
20. Yeah, she's young. That's young, and very young. And
that picture that you have pulled up right there, that was her first operation. That man right there was he was a senior member. It just so happens in the LDS church there in Utah. And speaking of soft on crime, he came to pay to abuse and traumatize 2 little girls. And some of his family members had called us and thanked us for stopping him. And a judge let him out within 2 years. It should have been a life sentence for that man, the rest of his natural life. But I heard that the judge had the reasoning, well, he's too old to be a threat. Well, no, he came with a pocket full of Viagra, sex lube, and condoms to traumatize 2 little girls, and right after church.
Wow.
So that monster is on the streets, and who knows what all he's done, continue to do to his family, that he was doing before we stopped him. We had him caught and we had it stopped, and a judge released him to allow the harm to continue. So it is not merciful to let these predators back out, because unless a miracle happens, those who harm children don't tend to stop. That's a deep illness, and a lot of people believe that that's actually demonic.
Right.
It's not normal or natural to be sexually attracted to a child and to harm them in that way. Because when we investigate, we interview so many of the survivors, and the stories that we hear it's heartbreaking, and they can articulate in their adulthood and after a lot of education and healing and everything what it really did to them. So everybody be aware, it's not okay. Anybody tries to normalize sexualizing a child in any way, it's not okay. It's traumatizing for them. They don't understand it.
Right.
It's not meant for
No,
them.
and the rest of their lives are basically negatively affected. Some, terribly so. Others can overcome, but not everybody has the support that your daughter did. That's a fact. Also on your website. Go ahead.
Here's the beauty in all this, because we talk about the harm, but the beauty is in the healing. There are so many people that are getting healing, and not to make it too religious, but it's Jesus Christ. When they find Jesus Christ and they find an aftercare facility that is faith-based, from all of our investigations, I'll give credit wherever it's due, but that's what we've run into continually. The ones that are just completely off the charts as having fantastic results is people are finding out what really makes everything work and where healing really comes from. And that's the beauty. And that's what keeps us going is, it's fun to stop the harm, but it's also really, really inspiring to see people heal and stand up and join the fight, or just go and share the love and share the beauty around the world and contribute in their own way.
And when you say that, I'm looking at your website too, and I wanted to make note on the homepage, everyone. There's a section down below on the homepage to volunteer, to get involved, to communicate, how to communicate with your kids, to refer the organization. You can identify and write your elected officials. They have a learn how, a link you can look at. Of course, you can subscribe to their newsletter to get information on this topic all the time. And then prayer works wonders for so many reasons, so many people, even people who don't pray. you can pray for them. It's okay. It works the other way. They don't have to ask you to do it. You can still just do it. And so I just want to make a note on the website that information is there, as well as so much other information. And then, Robert, will you do me a favor? I'm going to come back real quick with you, Craig. Play 8 for me from his organization, and then I'll bring Craig back.
I've deployed elsewhere to fulfill my oath to protect Americans, and now with Vets for Child Rescue here to the United States to defend our children. That's what matters to me. We can all be heroes, can we not? We can all do something. We can all link arms and stand up against this. Here's an opportunity to take a step forward and stand up to be counted and say, this is not okay with me. I'm going to do what I can. And together we are what we can't be alone. We can make a big tidal wave of positive correction for these kids. We can beat this back. We can.
Yeah, so I wanted to bring that up. It's a short on your channel. Actually, there's a YouTube channel too everyone can go to, and the links are all in the description. So if they're not, I'll get them in there today. I think I put them in last night. But do look up vetsforchildrescue.org. How you can with this organization. There's other organizations. If it's something's more near and dear to your heart or your location where you are living, that's totally acceptable.
Has been.
It's crazy to me as well. And so somebody with kids, if you're a parent, if you're a godparent, if you have nieces and nephews, I mean, if you know a child in the next door's house, I mean, everybody should be affected by things happening to children. You don't have to be a parent for that to be the case. And so I just encourage everyone to educate themselves on this situation that is not going away. And the biggest, the most, powerful people have the keys to this city, so to speak, and they wield it as they want. And we see that with the Epsteins and the Weinsteins, and those who harass and use their power dominantly over the people who are weaker than them, and children, women, often, but also boys. Are not exempt from anything, for sure. And so we just always need to be keenly aware that this is happening and keep the spotlight on it, so that people just don't forget and just keep burying it under this, in the sand. Anything else, Craig, that you wanted to share that we didn't get to touch on today?
Well, just that, and when you're really in the fight and you're a threat against a multi-billion-dollar crime like that, you're going to get defamation the same way that politicians do. And so the big defamation against me was by a guy that people are petitioning to have institutionalized, but he publishes articles and videos every day against me, trying to accuse me of being associated with Hillary. And based on that, there's all kinds of stuff around the internet. And guy's a psychopath.
Do we need to call that guy out?
Yeah, if you want to. His name's Timothy Charles Homseth, and everything he's published about me is fake. He's stalked our daughter. They've created multiple fake profiles online and published a bunch of foul stuff, pretending to be her. He's written himself a bunch of vile threat emails from an email address that's never existed, trying to make it look like me.
And who is this guy to you? He's just a voice that wants to be opposing?
He's just somebody. He's just one of several who have tried to make a living defaming me. I guess when you make outlandish accusations against a public figure, they find that they can get attention that way.
Right.
And we've also tracked some dark money out of Canada to him.
Okay.
And so I think it's probably he works for the other side, and so he's trying to reduce our support, and that's how he's doing it, is saying I'm associated with Hillary, because he knows she's probably the most hated person in the country. So
right.
Anyway,
well, we know you, Craig. I don't know you very, very well, but I know you enough to know that you're a good person. You're one of the good guys, for sure. And you don't know me very well, but here, I mean, me personally, I come out of a criminal justice background, first of all, and worked with the police department many, many, many years ago in Oregon, and actually was going to go into the field. But so I'm all pro law enforcement all the time, in the biggest, baddest way law enforcement can exist, but in the good ways, not the quiet, don't do anything, political ways. I don't like that stuff at all. So people like you, it makes me feel good, first of all, to know people like you, that they actually exist, and that you're out there fighting the good fight for the children, and those are the most vulnerable of us. And so we're really pleased that you gave us time today. I know I've been hounding you for a while to come on, so I really appreciate it. I don't know if you're traveling today or not, but I do. Anytime you want to, any information you have coming out, of course, everybody needs to check out Contraland, check out the website on Craig's it's vets4childrescue.org is what you look up for that. And the websites are in the descriptions. But get on there, you guys, get involved somehow and support those that are supporting the people who need it the most, which is our children. So really, Craig, just want to thank you again, to your family, your beautiful daughter. Thank her for all she's doing. It does take a village to combat these things, and your village is certainly putting out maximum effort. So we appreciate that.
Thank you, Noel. It's been a privilege to be on with you and appreciate your coverage. Blessings.
Thank you. All right. Talk to you soon. Take care. So everyone, this is not a fun subject. I don't like talking about it. It's disappointing on one level. You hear about government officials who aren't doing anything. You see government officials not do anything. Everybody knows what's happening. And so to know that some are involved in the negative aspects of it, and that's why they stay quiet, but then others just stay quiet just in general. It's just across the board. It's just a bad look for us and America, knowing that these things are happening. And there's too many organizations now out there. Some of what I mentioned, Pearl at the Mailbox, check them out. Mom Army, check them out. And of course, Vets for Child Rescue, please check them out. But there's so many organizations that are bringing this to light. You can't just pretend it's not happening and just brush it away and hope that somebody else handles it, because there's millions of kids who are being affected every day so negatively, who are being abused so horribly, unfathomably, really, things we're not even allowed to tell you on camera. We can't even say how they're being abused. That's how bad it is, because the censorship is real and they don't like the truth and the facts. So we can't even say it to enforce it and shock you into wanting to get involved. That's how bad it is. So that's pretty bad. And it actually makes me really sad to talk about it, because kids just don't ever nobody deserves that kind of treatment. Children, certainly not, their whole lives ruined. And like Craig said, so many take their own lives because of the trauma it inflicts and the psychological damage it does in the moment. They can't even deal with it. But we're so glad we had Craig on. He's an amazing man, obviously an amazing father, and he's an amazing advocate for children. So we're pleased to have him here today on American Perspective. And with that, we're going to roll back into a little bit of what's happening here in Arizona this weekend. We're not going to do the MAGA Minute. I don't know if there is one. I think they've been pretty busy over there. I don't think Carolyn Levitt has had time, but I couldn't find one. And nonetheless, there's other news. I'm going to bring up Tyler Boyer. He is with AmFest. Also, he was right behind Charlie Kirk. He works alongside of him, I think, since the inception of the organization here in Arizona. And so he was on the other day with John Roberts, Fox in the Morning, I think it is, or Fox Afternoon. And so he did make an announcement. I made the announcement last week. I said tentatively, don't quote me on America Fest 2025 happening, but I had a very strong feeling that was the case. And then Erica actually mentioned it last Saturday on her public address briefly. And then Tyler came out officially yesterday morning, and he also mentioned the event in December. So let's listen to what he has to say on number 9.
In Arizona, we're hosting America Fest that's coming up in December. That is already basically at max capacity already, and we're seeking out new venues for that.
So real quick, that was just a quick blurb. That's all he had to say on that. But yes, you can try to get back online now. I haven't looked since I heard that yesterday, but we can look right now and find out, because you go to americafest.com. And let's actually, you know what? It's actually if you go to Turning Point USA, that's actually where to get it, and so it's tpusa.com. And in their website, then you will see events. Let's see how they have it. I'm curious to see actually if there are tickets online, because here we go. America Fest. I don't have it to put up on screen, but that's okay. let's see what they have. I'm going to tell you guys. So right now, the speakers confirmed are Tucker Carlson, Steve Bannon, Greg Gutfeld, all the big ones, Donald Trump Jr., Rob Schneider, who's local here in Arizona, our Congressman and Representative Andy Biggs, who's running for governor, Dr. Ben Carson, Benny Johnson. You heard I had him on last week. I played something from him in a tribute to Charlie Kirk. They were very good friends. Jack Posobiec, we've talked with him. Myself, he's been with me at America Fest before. And so, of course, Brandon Tatum, I talked about earlier and had a clip with him and Charlie. They started, and he's been a very good friend of his. So those are all confirmed speakers. Danica Patrick also. But the registration, let's see what's going on with that. It looks like, okay, so it looks like right now, if you go on and go to America Fest and register, that you can still put in for tickets. So it's at the Phoenix Convention Center. They do hold a lot. 100,000 people come through the 4 days from all over, really all 50 states the first year were represented, including Alaska of all things. So people come from all over. And last year we had folks in from Ireland who I met and other countries. So if you're going to get on this, it's in mid-December. I suggest you check it out today. It's December 18th through December 21st. We will be there. We have a media table. We have for the last 4 years since the inception. And we are grateful to Charlie Kirk and Turning Point crew and the team, Aubrey, who helps us, with these events. She's a driving force for that particular portion of TPUSA, as well as all the young adults who work with Charlie over the years who have helped put this organization together as they have. So you can still, looks like, maybe get some tickets, but they are probably selling out very fast and maybe having to get a bigger venue. So I highly suggest you get to it. It's going to be one of the, if not the biggest event of this year and probably the next couple of years. So it's going to be an amazing time, really. And tune in because we try to go live every year. So we'll see how that goes. I'll be sitting in with totalnews.com, Total News Nation, and Grassroots 50 again in their big booth. So it should be a very beautiful 4-day tribute, honestly, to Charlie, Turning Point, and what Erica is putting together in his legacy on his behalf, and to continue that for the organization. So we're going to end today, No MAGA Minute. We're going to end today the life of Charlie Kirk. It's a small snapshot of who he was, what he was trying to do, what his goals were, and just hear from him personally as we wrap up today. Go ahead, Robert, with 10.
How do you want to be remembered?
I mean, if I die?
Everything just goes away. How would you, if you could be associated with one thing, how would you want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered for courage for my faith. That would be the most important thing. The most important thing is my faith in my life.
I don't know if you know this, but everyone dies. It's important to remind yourself of that. That you face God, the judge, and he's going to list everything you did wrong in your life. It's going to be a long sentencing hearing for me. Well, you get justice, which is hell, because that's what we deserve. Mercy, which is less of that, which I'll allow the theologians figure out what that is, for him. I will go into the prison cell for him or her so that they can live forever. That's grace. You didn't earn it. You didn't check boxes for it. You didn't go park cars for a ministry and that gets you extra points to go to heaven. None of that's true. It's that it's equally accepted for all people that allow Jesus Christ to be your Savior, the Savior of the world, to be born new and to be completely and totally renewed. That's a gift that we must try to give all people in the world.
I mean, I've had an unbelievably blessed life. Been doing this now, it'll be 12 years on June 5th.
Such a young man to do it.
So young.
Yeah, so praise God. I mean, I've been all across the world.